What's up? Welcome to Mind Design Podcast, episode 22. I'm Ron Carter, and you know what?
Yeah, I'm
Who are
Brian
you?
Marsolais.
Brian Marsolais is no longer a guest. He is a host of this show on this channel.
Yeah,
So if you watch
wow.
the previous videos, he's gotten a promotion. Um,
Really? Does that come up more money?
sure, you get 100% of the profits.
All right, now we're talking. But what I do want to talk about today is Ron's experience with some pretty big surf
All right, so
and how he accomplished beating his mind and his fears.
I love how you titled that because I don't feel like I've accomplished it yet. So here's the story, right? This is what happened. I've been going out in waves, uh, bodyboarding that are probably like 3 to 4 foot. I'm like super comfortable, and I'm like not even worried about anything, right? Once it gets to 6 foot, then I'm like a little like but like I've over the last week I've been learning how to manage that and like get under the surf to get out to where I need to be.
Yeah, little
And
duck diving.
yeah, duck diving and not getting like pulled back or going back over the falls, like actually doing it correctly, not getting caught up in the wave, actually going under them. And like I went under some 6 footers and had the nose of my board dig into the sand, so I knew like, oh, I just went all the way to the bottom to get under this. And I was like, that's cool. And then I pop up, and usually that 6 foot wave is like the last one because like as you're paddling out, they get bigger and bigger and bigger, and then you go under like the biggest one, and then you're finally in a spot where you can chill because like the waves are
Yep.
breaking behind you, right? Well, my friend who's been bodyboarding for like 20 years, every time we go out, I'm having fun. He's like, man, I just wish we got bigger waves. That's all he wants, right? Um,
Yeah.
and so to him, the conditions that I love are like garbage to him, you know?
Yeah, he's like, really?
Yeah. And so he hit me up on Friday and he's like, dude, we got a swell coming in on Sunday. It's going to be big. Like, and I was getting like stoked. I was like, okay, cool. Let's go. And he was stoked. And he picked me up at like 7 in the morning. We went to the beach. It said it was supposed to be 5 to 6 foot. Um, but we had like, without getting into all the details, we had like multiple swells from multiple directions coming in. And so we get there and it's way bigger than 5 to 6 feet because we're standing on the beach and we see this guy. He's riding this wave, and there's still bigger waves behind him, but he's riding this wave that's like on the inside, standing up, getting complete.
Surfing. He's surfing it.
He's standing up surfing, just standing straight up in a barrel on the
Wow.
inside, you know, on the
Yeah.
inside, smaller waves. And we were like, and then we see these walls of water like behind him, right? And these lumps all on the horizon. And we are like, oh, my friend was stoked. He's like, fuck yeah, let's go out there, dude. And he's putting his fins on his feet. And I was still like, yeah, like for whatever reason, I thought this is going to be exactly the same as some 6 foot surf. I like, whatever. Just
Yeah.
go under it. And so as soon as I got in the water, there was so much energy in the water from this swell that was coming in. As soon as I
Yeah.
was like shin deep in the water, I can feel like the current pushing me and pulling me in different directions. And I'm
Yeah.
like,
What was it knocking you down like from behind? Because you're already in. Now the waves, now it's pushing back. Was
right.
it like almost pushing you down to the ground?
Like when I was in like the shallow water.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the water trying to escape to go back to the ocean. Yeah.
Yeah, that's when you know. Yeah, we're in
Yeah.
for a good
It,
time.
it was doing that and to the side at the same time. And so it was like, okay. And so walk out there, get about waist deep, and I'm trying to like time it, but I'm like waist deep, and like the white water that's hitting is like taller than me, you know? And so it's like I jump, and then eventually I'm like, okay, let's just paddle out. And then I'm paddling out and I'm duck diving the waves that I'm used to duck diving, like going under them, going under them. And I see my friend, he usually gets out before me because he's just way more experienced. And he's only a little bit in front of me. and way off to the side because the current's pulling him to the side. Excuse me. And I was like, he's not out there yet. And I see him duck diving, duck diving, duck diving. And I start to get out of breath, right? He finally makes it out. I see this wall of water that he rides up and he goes over it. He makes it out. Um, I duck dive under that. I make it. Like I duck dive under like 3 or 4 more in a row.
Because they're
Um,
breaking before you can ride up over them.
right, exactly. It's
Right.
like for anybody who doesn't know, like if you picture my hand like it's a wave, right? It's about to break. Well, right here, it's like don't be there. If you're up here and you're going this way, try to get over it, and it's still like this, you can just ride up it and over the other side. But
Yeah,
if
that's
it's
a
like
good
this,
description.
then you gotta go under before you get to this spot. You gotta go under, and then as it breaks, you go like out the other side. Um, and so, but the thing is, the first time that I tried to go out, I just got tired. I was duck diving, I was out of breath, and I saw that okay, if I go like 10 to 15 feet further ahead, I'm gonna be at the impact zone where the big waves are breaking. And so if I go any further ahead, I have to fully commit to going all the way out. There's no like stop and rest like past this point, you know? And then there's all these sets and uh and I think I was out of breath, and so I just turned around and was like, just go back in a little bit, get your breath back, and then wait until there's not a bunch of sets coming in. So I did that. I went back out to the shore. I sat there, I watched the waves, and I timed the interval. Like, okay, once the big waves are coming, and then they all break and they're at the shore, I started timing it and seeing like how many seconds until the next set of big waves starts again. And it was 40 seconds. It wasn't
Oh
long.
my.
It was
Yeah.
sometimes depending on the swell, it's like 10 minutes, 5 minutes. So
Wow.
like like at least here for a south swell, sometimes
Mm.
it's like 15 minutes before between big sets. So it's like you just wait till a big set goes, then you just paddle out and you're fine. Paddle out as slowly or leisurely as you want. But this was 40 seconds. And I was like, okay. And then I waited for that swell to stop, and then I rushed out into the water. I was like, okay, you got 40 seconds to get out there, and I'm going, and I'm duck diving the waves that are on the inside, and I almost make it out. And my friend, I can see where my friend is at because that's where I'm just trying to get to because he's sitting over there, right? Um, and he sees me about like 25 feet away, and he does this. He goes like, come on dude, like you're almost there. And I'm just like, I'm paddling, I'm kicking, I'm paddling, I'm kicking. And then I see him where he's sitting, a set wave forms like way past him. And I was like, oh, like I knew that it's only a 40-second interval, so like by the time you get out there, almost out there, there's going to be some big waves that you got to go through like at the very end. But I'm like so gassed out from sprinting out there, and I'm just trying to get to this spot where I can ride over this thing because then I know I'll be okay. Because then I can like slow down my pace and just keep going, and I'll be able to ride over all the other ones. And I see him ride over it, and as he's going up over it, the wave gets like almost it's like straight up and down, and he like flies over the top and down the bottom, and he's like at this point maybe 15, 10 feet in front of me, and I'm like,
Yeah. And you
so
you can't see him because he's on the backside of the wave. All you
yeah,
can see is him going over the top.
I just see him disappear over the top, and I'm like,
Yeah.
this thing, like I can't make it over this thing. Like it's about to
Mm.
break. Like and um and I asked him how big this wave was afterwards because he just sat there and like watched me get manhandled, just mangled by this thing.
Wave handled, Ron. You got wave
Yeah.
handled. You were in the washing machine of your life.
Yeah. And he said it was about 9 feet, right? And so
Yeah.
it's about 3 feet taller than me, which is pretty freaking tall when you're just laying down, you know, because I'm laying down
Yeah,
on my board.
that's a big wave. That's a big wave. And when you're looking up at it, like it sounds like, oh, that's nothing. Yeah, go do it. And you won't say that ever again. I
Yeah.
promise.
Well, really, it's like if you're in any standard room, like in a regular with regular ceilings, like look at your ceiling, think about 1 foot above that, picture 1 foot above that, right? And then lay
Yeah.
down and look at that spot. And then that's the wave,
Yeah.
you know?
And that baby's coming down on you.
Yeah. And so
Yeah.
I was like, I didn't even think twice about it. I was like, just duck dive under this, and then you'll be out there. And so this thing was like, I was in the spot that you don't want to be in. I was like right here, right? And so I paddled to try to get further, like closer to it, because I wanted to try to pierce through the side of it, you know?
Hmm.
And it was about to just break on my head. And so I paddled a little bit and then duck dived. And then as I went underwater, I felt it like break on my feet because like I went under, but my feet were here, and I was trying to go deep, and I'm just, mind you, I'm already exhausted. Like I have no breath to be able to hold from sprinting out there. Like my heart's beat. I was like breathing like I was sprinting on land, you know, um,
Hmm.
and uh, and I feel the wave hit my feet, and I'm expecting to just be able to push my board under the water and feel myself float under the wave and feel like a bunch of turbulence and then be able to go up. And instead, what I feel is like, for whatever reason, like the wave like curled around and still made its way like under my board and hit the bottom of my board. And I just went like,
Hmm.
it hit the board, and I just started doing backflips like underwater. I'm holding my board doing full backflips like
Hmm.
underwater, and I didn't know that that happens, so I freaked out and I made a mistake. My friend told me this later, because as soon as I started doing backflips, I freaked out and I let go of my board, even though I was holding onto it for dear life while I was doing these backflips. And I'm thinking, this is crazy that my board is like backflipping through the water with me. Like, like the amount of force in this water to be able to make a board do that, this is insane. So I let go of my board, right? And then as soon as I let go of my board, I felt myself backflipping like more and more and more, and I felt all the water get cold. So that's how I know, like, oh, okay, like now I'm backflipping down into
Yeah. And
deeper water.
you're tethered, right, to your board.
Yeah, yeah, I have a leash that's attached to my wrist.
So is the board's pulling you too, right? Because now it's in the surf.
Yeah, yep.
All right. Maybe I think we talked about that before, and you're like, I haven't felt that yet. Well, guess what?
Yep. So I'm just doing backflip, 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 getting yanked and just getting, it just feels like a car accident from all directions, you know?
Yeah, it's
And
crazy.
and um and at the same time, I can feel that like my heart's beating super fast from sprinting out there, and I'm like, I need to breathe. I need to breathe, and I'm freaking out. And then as soon as I start to slow down on my backflips, then I start trying to swim, and I'm swimming because I can feel myself floating up a little bit because I'm connected to my board, you know? So I kind of felt, I think up is this way, and then I start swimming, and I was surprised at how deep I was because I got fins on my feet. So I'm
Mm.
swimming and kicking, and it was like 2 or 3 strokes while kicking with my fins. And I started to freak out at stroke number two because I was like, am I going the right way? Like, I don't know. And then I just did it again, and then I can feel myself like breach the surface. And I was like, holy shit. And I find my board, grab it. I look, I got dragged way back, and there's just like a line of all these other sets. Like they're just set up to dump right on top of me again. And I was like,
Mm.
okay. I got on my board, I turned around, and I started paddling the other way. I was like, okay, let's paddle towards the shore, let these waves break before they get to you so they're not as strong. And you're gonna have
Push you out.
like 6 or 7 feet of white water just, and I was just in the washing machine and all those too. Because I knew that that's what would happen, but at least they'll push me in. And it's because I was like out of breath, and even when those white water were hitting me, I was like swallowing water on accident, and like it was hard to breathe. And I remember the feeling when I finally got in close enough to be able to put my foot down after doing a bunch of tumbles in the whitewater waves. And then I like put my foot down and it touched the ground. And I stood up and I was in chest deep, and I was like, and I could just finally rest for a second. And I was just like standing there breathing, like, oh, thank God, like I'm alive. And then another wave came and I caught that. And then I'm like, the surf was pulling in the shallow water, pulling you out so much. I'm like just trying to make my way out of the ocean and it's knocking me over and over again. And then I like crawl out of the ocean like onto the shore and I'm like coughing up water and just sitting there and
Yeah. And it just pours out of your nose at that point,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
It's like, how did I get all this water in my skull?
Yeah, I had water everywhere. I had sand inside my wetsuit, in the neck of my wetsuit, like because I was
Mm-mm.
just getting demolished.
Yeah, well, you know what happens to a lot of people too, when you have that coral underneath you, you just get torn to pieces.
Yeah, yeah. Thankfully, this was just a sandy beach break.
Mm,
Yeah,
yeah.
but
That's that's experience.
it was scary, and I think the thing that makes it like that relates to mindset. If none of you guys watching this surf at all, right? And you're like, well, this is a cool story, but like what happened was I sat there and I knew this. I've had this experience from like skateboarding before. Whenever I'm like scared or I fall and get hurt on a certain obstacle, if I leave and go home right then, what happens is I turn the whole event into a bigger deal in my mind than it really was. And then it's like I'm like permanently scared of doing something similar. Like I'm like
Mm,
traumatized from the event, right? I've had this happen like trying to skateboard on like stairs where I fall, then I'm like, oh, you fell on this sixth stair before, and so now for like years I'm afraid to do a trick down six stairs
mm,
because of this one event. And so I knew about that, and even though it's like my lungs were like burning from like being out of oxygen for so long, and I'm sitting there and I'm re-getting myself together. Uh, my friend saw me sitting on the beach, right, as he's like surfing these waves. He's doing like the bigger waves in the back. The ones all the way in the back were like 10, 11, some like 12 foot. I didn't make it out there, right? And I think
mm.
even if I did, I wouldn't be having fun. It was out of my comfort zone. They looked smaller from the beach, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
and and so he came back. He came back in. He caught a couple, and he's like, he came in and he said, "Man, these aren't even really that fun." He's like, "They're because they were too vertical because the wind was going offshore, so they were barreling perfectly. They weren't like
Mm.
they weren't like mushing and crumbling, so it was just like boom, like powerful waves, right?
Yeah,
And
they're peaking too quick and they're not
right,
rolling at all.
right, and like they were really fast, so they were all like really tall and critical.
Yeah.
And he
Are
said
those
that
hard to catch on a boogie board?
yeah, because they still pitch you, just like they still want
Yeah.
to throw you, just like a surfboard, you know?
Yeah, even with your fins, they're still hard to.
Yeah. I mean, you have
Hell
to
of a leg
paddle.
workout too,
You
I
have to,
bet.
yeah, you have to paddle your ass off to be able to catch him. And he's super experienced. Like he's competed in pro competitions, right?
Oh,
He
he
was a,
is good then.
yeah. So like, and he's like, he was like, dude, I'm not even having fun out there. These waves are almost impossible to catch. He's like, the ones on the inside are perfect, but you can't wait on the inside because the other ones will demolish you. And the ones
Mm.
that will demolish you are just moving too fast.
Yeah. Well, you know what it is, reading the waves. That's big. And he's
Yeah.
a pro, so obviously he knows what he's doing.
Yeah. And so then we went to another spot. He's like, hey, let's go to a different spot. And I was like, yeah. And that's when I told him what happened because he just saw me go under. And according to him, I was underwater doing those backflips and doing that stuff. He said it was about 5 seconds. But to
Yeah.
me, it felt like eternity, right?
Yeah.
um, and it's funny when as soon as I pop my head up too, I like grab my board and I see him because I want to see how close I am to being outside of all the waves because I know that's where he's sitting. And he's just looking at me and he's been doing this for so long, he's just laughing. He's just laughing and shaking his head. There's no like, you all right, bro?
Yeah.
Everything. He's just like, dude,
You'll
like,
be
come
okay.
on. Yeah. But
Yeah.
he told me, he's like, dude, he's like, that's where you messed up, dude. He's like, you let go of your board. He's like, you had your board in your hands. He's like, it's one thing if it gets ripped out of your hands, because
Mm.
like, what can you do? But like, you had it in your hands and you let go because you freaked out. He's like, if that ever happens again, he's like, and it will, doing backflips underwater on a duck dive with a bodyboard happens all the time in big surf. And I was like, it does? I've never heard of it. He's like, yes, dude. He's like, when that
Yeah.
happens, you just hold on to your board for dear life. Because as long as you don't let go of that thing, it's going to pull you up to the surface faster than anything else automatically.
Yeah, and you're buoyant with your wetsuit on too.
Yeah.
But I know what you mean, you know. Um,
Yeah. It's like you don't have to swim anywhere. Just hold on to it and you'll be at the surface. You know,
mhm.
like, because that's the thing that freaked me out the most was realizing that, because yeah, you're buoyant with your wetsuit, but in surf that's that powerful, you still
Yeah,
have
you're
to swim. If
oh
it's
yeah.
standing still water, yeah, you might float to the surface, but with that, you're going where the water wants you to go. You know?
Oh yeah. But my point is you do eventually go up, you know.
Yeah.
You do float up. And it's a I think maybe the first time it happened to you, it's just such a panic, but it won't be next time.
Right. Right. Because
Next
now I
time you'll
know.
be like, okay, I've been here, done that, no big deal.
Yeah. Yeah. And
But what
so,
a workout. What a workout,
yeah, for
you
sure.
know? I've been out before where I've caught like one or two waves all night. And just trying to get out there was such a workout that you literally, when you get out of the water, you just feel like collapsing on the beach and saying, "Oh my God,"
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know? Yeah.
Yeah. At that beach, I didn't catch any waves. I just got like worked. And
Yeah.
then
You got a good workout in.
yeah. And then we went to a different beach that was smaller, and and it said 3 to 4 feet, but we get there and it's really like 5 to 6, and they're
Mm,
barreling. It's the same swell, and the same thing is happening with the water. It's just on a little bit smaller scale. And the funny thing is, I've been to this beach plenty of times, and it's probably the biggest surf I've seen at this second beach. But I've also been in
yeah.
surf that's this size before, which is at a different beach, and I was still scared. Like anytime I had to duck dive, I was like, oh. And I think it's really good that we went to a second beach right away. I didn't go home from went to a different one
Mm,
and like went out there and like faced the fear like immediately,
yeah.
so it wouldn't have a chance to just imprint on me. And like nothing crazy happened. I duck dived some waves. I tried to catch some that I was like scared to catch because I was like, oh, maybe it's too big, and backed off of them. The first one that I caught um, at that second beach, the first wave of the day after getting just like wrecked at the first beach, the first one that I actually caught was probably about 5 to 6 feet, and the waves were moving really quick because of the swell, and so I couldn't like drop in on it. I was like paddling and barely just staying on the very top of it, right? And then as soon as I go to drop in, it like turns critical, and then I get thrown to the bottom of the wave, like head
Well, oh yeah,
first.
right in the pocket.
Right. I don't ride down it. I just get thrown down it. And I go head first. And I know this from before. It's like, okay, if that's what you're doing, like just keep doing it. Like don't try to correct it too much. Just flip over and land in the water, And so I did
Yeah.
that. And then I flipped over. And as soon as I like did half of a front flip, like my back hits the bottom because the water was it wasn't that deep there. My back hits the bottom, the wave lands on top of me. I bounce off the bottom and I'm in the washing machine again, like doing front flips this time. And and then I just stand up and I hit the water with so much force that like, and I went in head first that the water like stretched my wetsuit out around my neck. And when I was like under,
Really?
yeah, and it all just rushed into my wetsuit, and I didn't know
Nice.
what happened. I just felt something around my mouth when I was like front flipping, and I thought it was kelp and seaweed because there was a bunch of seaweed there. And when I stand up, my wetsuit is literally like this, like around my head, like like the
Wow.
force of the water. I just tucked my head into my wetsuit like a turtle, and I got up.
Unbelievable.
And I was like, "Wow, you were just getting your ass kicked today," because that was the first wave
Yeah.
that I caught.
I wish I could have filmed that. Here's what Ron thinks happened, and here's what really happened. Yeah, so I went to Rincon, Puerto Rico. Me and my buddy. My buddy's a pretty good surfer. He's more experienced than I am, but we're pretty close and we surf a lot together. And it's nice because you get a buddy system, you know.
Right.
So we're in Rincon, and Rincon's like where they have professional surf tournaments, and if I'm totally honest, I've got no business being out there. But you know what? I'm there. I'm in Puerto Rico. This was the plan. And
Yeah.
so we go down, we have to rent boards. We didn't have our own boards there. We're like, oh, we'll just go rent some, whatever. So we rent some. And the waves are pretty good size there. They can get 10 to 18 feet high.
Yeah, that's
Insane, right? So we
yeah.
probably had like, I don't know, maybe 8 to 12 footers, which are huge. Because
And
as
now I
soon
get
as
that. I'm like, yeah, that's
as soon as you stand on the board and you're up on a 8 foot wave and you're looking down, you're like, holy shit. You
yeah.
just got to hit that. You got to hit it right. Your board might leave a little, but then it catches that pocket and you're okay. Now, we're there all day and there's some coral under there. And I'm getting in the washing machine so much. I got no business being there. I look at my buddy, he's exhausted too. We caught a couple, it was fun. And we watched like the locals there. They know how to get in. They'll go like halfway up. There's just like these rocks they jump to, and then they're
Mhm.
already at where the waves are right there where before they break.
Is that how they get out? They like use
Yeah,
like a
that's how
rock
they get
jetty,
out, which we studied later after we were
so they don't
exhausted. But
have to
so
fight all the surf to get out.
exactly, right? So, but in Puerto Rico, hey man, just rent the board. Yeah, man, have fun, right? And they don't care, right? So there's there's this girl that she's got a board and she goes out and she's has no like we don't have any business there. She definitely doesn't have any business there. She's all by herself. She gets caught in the surf,
Stuck
literally
inside.
stuck inside bad. My friend is close enough to save her from drowning. No word of a lie. He pulls her to safety. She's crying. She's on the beach. All this water's just shooting out of her nose. Just a horrible scene. She's choking, coughing, but she's coming out. She's getting better. She's getting better. She's getting better. Okay. Stand up. So we get her to stand up, you know, grab your board, right? Because her board's, I don't know, 300 yards away. I get her board over there, put it in the sand. Like, do you have your phone? Yeah, I have my phone in my purse over here, whatever. So she grabs it. I said, let me take a picture of you. You can tell everyone on Facebook that you surfed Rincon. Click, go somewhere safe, you know?
Yeah.
Because man, I'm telling you, you go to those places and I'm sure there's a lot of people who drown there because they don't really, there's no lifeguards, there's nothing there. And the surf, man, that's why I was saying at the beginning, was the surf knocking you on your butt coming back into the ocean? Because when you get big waves like that, that surf is coming back so hard,
It's hard
uh,
to get out in the shallow water.
it'll take your knees right out from under you.
Yeah.
It can. You know what I mean? I'm sure, like, if Laird Hamilton is watching, he's probably like, oh my God, what a couple
Yeah.
babies right there, you know?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. The guy who invented getting towed into huge waves. Yeah.
Oh, I know, right? It's like, and it gives you so much respect. I know, like, there's people say, "Oh, I really respect that because we know how hard it is," right? If you've ever tried, but uh, imagine these guys in Portugal riding these 80 foot, 100 foot waves.
Yeah.
You can't even wrap your head around it. I watched a show. There was this girl. She was a professional surfer, and she went to Portugal and she rode a wave all the way to the shore. She broke her ankles on the board. It was so violent.
Ooh. Like
Y-
trying to get out of the water. Like the
Yeah.
board hit her and broke her ankles.
No, she was standing on the board, she said, and it was shaking so hard up and down that her ankles broke.
That's crazy.
Yeah, crazy. Those people, that's why, you look at that and say, wow, that you got a jet ski that's going like 70 to get you to catch the wave to begin with,
Right.
you
I'm
know?
looking up I'm looking up Rincon, Puerto Rico. I want to see what this wave looks like. And then I'll see if I can pull up a video from the beach that I was at. Um, let's see, I'm looking for one. Rincon, Puerto Rico, uh, big surf. This looks like one.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go, buddy. Well, that was a quick video.
It's a bunch of now it's gonna be a bunch of people talking. All these surf videos. It's like this. Like I don't care about all that. Just get in the water and show me the waves. You
It's
know.
probably how people talk about our podcast here.
Right.
You know, they're like, "Hey, at least we're on the beach, dude." Look at that thing.
Yeah. And it's hard to
Like,
tell the size because there's nobody in there right now.
yeah, you
That's what
can't.
like the wave that landed on me looked like. It felt like
Yeah, you can't. You can't tell at all. I wish someone was surfing it.
maybe that's coming. Yeah.
Yeah, there's someone. I mean, see how that board just drops right in?
Yeah.
And like that doesn't look like much. That is a monster wave.
Yeah. Yeah, that looks like really similar to the conditions that I was in, except the only difference is the wave that like messed me up was a closeout. Like it was closing out, and
Yeah,
so there was no like paddle to the shoulder where it's a little small. It was just like wall, and it's like oh my God. Um, let's
yeah.
see,
th- Like this,
start.
like sometimes you can see where they break and you can get in that way.
Yeah, the I guess that's kind of like the difference between like those reef breaks though. They're really consistent and they
Right.
break like they peel. It's like like this is where it peels at. We were on a beach break, so it's like it just depends on whatever the sandbars feel like doing. That's how the waves are going to break today. Um, let's see.
Yeah, some of the waves that I've been over, it's just so incredible.
This place is not a big wave uh place, but we just had a huge swell come in, and so
That's a pretty big wave right there.
yeah, this was last winter. This is like what the surf gets like when it's really big here. And so it wasn't this big. You can see people there, right? Right there and right there. This is like what 15-foot waves, and this is like probably 10 minutes away from the beach that we were at. This beach had it was forecasted to have waves that were like 6 foot, which Oxnard, where we were at, was forecasted to have 6 foot. So they might have been around the same. They might have been waves kind of like this. Um, we should have went here because this is a point break, so it breaks more
Yeah.
predictably. We
You
should have
got,
went
it looks like
here.
that, I mean, you got a lot of locals there too, right?
Yeah, yeah. We didn't go here specifically because there was just like so many people in the water, so we went to a different place.
Mm.
Um, none of the places have lifeguards or anything, so it's like, what? Just go where there's less surfers so you can catch more waves. But now that I think about it, catching more waves wasn't really an issue for me. The issue was like just get out there and catch one.
Hey,
you
when
know?
you're like, so when you're surfing California, do you have to wait for your wave to come? Well, like, so other people are there and you got to line up.
Yep.
You
Same
do.
deal.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because, like where I surf out in New England here, man, you don't have to do a lineup or anything.
Really, you just catch whatever. You can just
Catch
paddle
whatever you
out there
want.
and no one's getting
Yeah.
mad.
No.
Oh yeah. I just assumed that that was like standard everywhere. Out here,
No, it's really not here because it like surfing is still great. It's great wherever you are, but it's not as popular. Like California is very like Hawaii-ish, it's very
right.
popular. But on the Northeast, um, you don't get those lineups like that. You can just hit whatever you want. And
Yeah.
I mean, I've hit a couple people over 10 years. I've hit maybe one or two,
Right. Right.
and it's not like, point break where he's shoving you off your board. It's just we
Yeah.
just accidentally hit.
Yeah. Yeah. I think out here like that lineup that I showed you that
Yeah.
just now. Yesterday we drove by that place, just look. All these beaches are so close. We're like, what's the best one? And we're like scoping them all out. We went and looked at that. There was no parking anywhere.
Yeah.
And then we just put our flashers on when we're not supposed to park and got out just to look. And there was too many people in the water to even try to count them. It was
Hmm.
probably like around like 50, 60, maybe even
Wow.
like 70 people in the water because there's like
Yeah.
a couple different takeoff spots, like three different spots where you can wait at, and they're just filled with like groups of like 20 or more people at all of them. And then other people that are surfing the waves and other people that are paddling back to those spots. And then there's a bunch of people walking and like filming and watching them surf. And we're like, we got to be able to find a different spot. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Huh. Yeah. Even up here, like, you know, we used to be able to just park, not pay, you'd get there. You don't even have to pay for parking or anything. Now it's like ridiculous. It's like $20 to park, or, you got to fill a meter up and it's only good for so long. And,
right,
just
right.
like this is like pre-COVID. And then once COVID hit and stuff like that, it was like then they started blockading the parking lots and stuff. And then some brilliant person came up with an idea, hey, we should charge people to park, So now it's
Yeah,
kind of like, oh man.
yeah. It's
Um,
like that at some beaches here. Not all of them. Like the place we went to was it's a beach that's literally there's like a neighborhood and there's a wall of houses and then there's just sand behind them and a beach. And you literally park on the street and then you walk there's like an empty lot where there's not a house. You walk through that. It's all sand.
mm,
And then you're on the beach. And then you find whatever peak you want to surf, you walk up down the beach so you find one that looks good and paddle out there. And that's where we went where I got handled. Probably not a good place for now that I'm thinking about it, not a good place for like big swells because that beach it just drops off. It gets deep really quick. And that's
yeah.
one thing that we usually like about that beach when it's regular swells because you don't have to paddle for very long. The waves are breaking
Mm,
pretty close because as soon as you're like 5 feet into the water, you're already like waist deep to chest deep. It just drops off. But that big swell came in and it was just like super powerful. Like the waves were breaking way far out compared to what they usually do when they were huge because all that water is just getting walled up, hitting that like really shot or that really I don't know how you call it, but it's like a drop off for the
yeah, it's a
beach.
dip and then it comes right.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
kind of goes like this. It goes down and then it goes up. Like you're you can't touch for a while, and then there's like a sandbar lump, and
Oh, wow.
then you're like shin deep again, and then
Yeah.
it drops off. And
Wow.
so like the waves just
Those
pummel
are the
over
waves.
that.
Yeah, they just slam you.
Yeah. And then it's like, oh, big surf, and we're gonna go where that's how the bottom is shaped. And
Yeah.
it was rough.
Yeah, it's weird. I've been out in some pretty big surf where you literally get like catapulted off your board, you know? Because remember, I'm a stand-up paddleboard, you know?
Right.
So that can get pretty tricky, but
So is that what you were on in Puerto Rico?
no, in Puerto Rico I was on a surfboard.
Okay.
Yep.
I was gonna
Well,
say,
we
like,
did we did a little bit of both. We did, but we didn't like that's a place that you're not going to get a paddleboard out. There's no way you're going to get a paddle. I don't care who you are. You're not getting a paddleboard out there.
yeah,
You know
yeah,
what I mean? Unless like, oh, I can go up these rocks, throw the board in, but
right.
you
You're
just
not
like,
standing up and paddling out through that.
yeah, exactly. You got to have the small boards that you can duck dive
Yeah,
and get on it. But now, what I'm saying, like around here, I'm on my paddle board is my preferred surf.
right.
I catch a lot more waves. Maybe, I don't know. Not as young as you, Ron, so
Yeah, it's
but
funny. You know, something I learned through that whole experience, though, is that like the week leading up to that, I was getting very maybe a little too overconfident because every challenge that I was being met with in the water, I was hitting. It was literally 4 or 5 days before that was my first time in waves that were like six, some like the biggest ones were like 7 feet, right?
Mm.
And I was duck diving through those. Sometimes I was in like a little washing machine, not doing backflips, but it was like all this current. And then I come up and I keep paddling. I make it out the back. I rode one like 6 foot wave, like from the back of the lineup all the way in, like just riding it along the side. And then it was barreling. I wasn't in the barrel because the wave was like this, right? And I was riding on it and it was barreling right there. And I was like, oh, I missed it because I needed to go further up. But I learned how to like go down the wave and then come back up on the lip and do like a cutback, like that.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But I'm doing this laying down on my bodyboard. So I'm turning and then I go up and you like shift and because you can do all that same stuff. I did one of those like a couple days before this. And as soon
Mm.
as I got up to the top of the wave, I didn't ride back down it because I forgot to shift my weight. And then the wave like flipped me over. But it was fun. It was like it wasn't as
Yeah,
strong. So I was like,
because
oh, like
the rail grabbed and see you later.
yeah, and so the wave like just pushed me over, but I flipped over, I swam up, and I was like, oh, that was fun. I got on my board and paddled back out, and like was like whatever. And so I'm thinking like, I got this shit. And I saw those
Yeah.
waves that were like way bigger than I ever been in, and was like, I got this shit. I'm not gonna do any tricks. I'm just gonna like ride down them, and yeah, and then the ocean taught me that I don't know everything yet.
Mm. Yeah, it takes a lot of experience. It takes a lot of time, but it's a lot of fun and it's fun learning. It's just fun learning. I
Yeah,
was out there one day and it was some pretty big waves. And, I'd probably hit like half of them, maybe not even half. Just trying to catch them was tough because they come in so fast. And
mm,
this guy was out there and he had a small, I have this board, but he had a board, they're called pocket rockets.
okay,
And he's on his board and they're probably designed more for like a 150, 60 pound guy, right?
right,
Um, but he's on his board, it's probably like 2 inches underwater from his weight. But
okay,
this kid could surf like you couldn't even believe. Like a wave would come up and it was like effortless for him to catch it because he knew exactly where to put his body. So he didn't even have to paddle. He would just
that's
catch the wave, wave after wave, and he was so good. Like the tricks he was doing, and it was just amazing to watch. And I'm like, how does he do that? And you just try to, you know, friend him up. What do you like? Hey, how do you do that? And he's like, oh, just get on the front of that, get on the front of the board. But whenever I get on the front of the board, it's like you have to get over your fear because it feels like you're gonna fall off the front of the board. It's
right,
just a
right.
weird feeling. But that wave, once it catches you, now you gotta get on the back of the board
So you don't
because it
nosedive at the bottom.
exactly. So
Yeah.
it's pretty tricky. But yeah, it's
It's
pretty
like,
cool if you get a chance to watch some of these pros. Like you probably are online watching a lot of pros, right? And your
yeah,
buddy, and how are they
surfing
doing
and
that? And
bodyboarding. Yeah.
yep.
It's really the same thing. It's like even on a bodyboard, like when you're going and you're laying down and you're at the crest of the wave, it's like you have to lean forward, like put all your weight on your hands
Yep.
and like lean forward and like really try to like peek over the edge.
It's the
because
same.
because if you're
Yep.
doing that, then you're shifting your weight to the front. But then as
Yep.
soon as you start going down, if you stay like that, you're nose diving and front flipping into the bottom, and then the
Yeah,
wave
you
is
got to
landing
get
on
on the
you.
back of that
So then you
board.
got to like lean back, and then you got to grab the rail and like start turning whichever way the wave is going. And once you
Yeah.
do that, now you're on the wave. you know?
Like I'm so much better going left. So the waves behind me, I'm going left. I'm a goofy rider anyway, but
Yeah.
I'm
So front
better that
side.
way. I can go to the right, but it's not like I can't control the board as good as to the left. And I think that's because I'm looking at it, right? I'm looking at the wave, I'm seeing what it's
Right.
doing. Pretty
Yeah.
cool stuff. And I wanted to bring up too, like, and this goes a lot in life, right? You know, when you run into a tough situation, what do? You control your breathing, right? That's the first thing you do. Once you get control over your breath, the situation's not so bad. Now the problem is after you just got slammed by a wave, it's not like you can control your breathing.
Yeah, you shouldn't be breathing. You're underwater.
Exactly.
So
So
you have to be
like
calm, but it's the same principles are there.
you
It's
got to
like,
calm your body down. No, I'm not going to drown.
right.
It's going to be okay. And
And
eventually I'm going to be up.
the way you calm your body down, something that I'm learning, because I did it on that other wave where I front flipped into the sand. I was fine. And the thing is, it's like if I keep my mind calm, my body will follow,
That's right.
even when I'm holding my breath.
Yeah.
And that's the when I front flipped into the sand, like my mind was calm. I think a part of it was calm because I knew that like I caught this wave and I was only in like 6 feet deep water. The other wave I caught, I was way out there, and that dropped off
Yeah.
really deep. And so I knew the water's super deep out here. But this other one, I knew that it was only like 6 feet deep. And so it's like, dude, you're not going to drown. Like, you just stand up, you know,
Mm.
like, and so I flipped over, I hit the bottom on my back, bounced around, did some front flips, and I was just calm in my mind. I was like, well, we'll just put your hands around your head and wait for the wave to do what it does. And then eventually, like, I slowed down and I felt myself starting to float, put my feet down, like, and then got up and immediately turned around because that's what you
Yeah.
always do. Like,
And then
what's
here
coming?
comes the next one. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. What's going to hit me next? But yeah, so in life, right? If you're giving a presentation in front of people, if you're gonna, do a TED talk, whatever it is you're doing, at work, you're the main person and you're getting a little anxiety, you're getting a little bit of tension. Well, you're not in the ocean. So, do some box breathing, get control of your breathing, then get control of your thoughts, and it's gonna be okay. And you'd be
Yeah.
amazed, once you calm that, like you said, if you're in the ocean, now you can't really breathe. So now what you do is you calm your mind. I'm going to be okay. And next thing you know, you're popping up. I have this thing. I don't know what it is, but whenever I get caught in the washing machine, I just start laughing. I'm like, whoa, and I don't know why. I just think it's such a fun ride, you know?
Yeah. It's reframing instead of like, oh shit, I'm gonna die, adrenaline spike, cortisol, heart pumping just because I thought something.
Yep,
It's the exact opposite. It's taking the same situation and flipping the meaning of it. And then your body gives a different response. I love that.
right
So
on.
that's great advice for any of you guys. Other thing that I would like to add to that, and we got to wrap up, is you know if you're not doing challenging things like in your life, doesn't have to be surfing, but something that's challenging. What I found is this: like no matter what my day threw at me yesterday, after getting out of the water, like none of it seemed trivial whatsoever. It's
Hmm.
like oh, like I had like homework due for my class. I had to like register for Cal State Northridge because I got accepted into there. And I'm like, I got to do all these things. I have deadlines. I don't know when the dead. And it's like all that's gonna be okay. Like,
Yeah.
like whatever. Like we'll figure that. Like
Yeah.
that's and those
Well,
could be things.
congratulations.
Thanks. Yeah.
That's quite
The,
an accomplishment.
those could be things that I stressed about.
Yeah.
I could be like, well, when's the deadline? I got to register for like the spring term, and am I gonna do it in time? It's like, but I had these thoughts yesterday, like, when is the deadline? And I was like, well, it's Sunday, so you can't call anybody, so just worry about it tomorrow, and you'll figure it out then. And it's like, and then I was like, okay, and then just went about my day,
Yeah.
so
Yeah. Well, it's amazing,
purposefully,
right? And it always comes down to this, Ron, right? It's not the experience you're having. It's the thought of the experience that gives you the pain or the whatever it is, right? It's just the thought of it,
right,
you know?
absolutely. So take that with you guys. I don't know if you guys surf or not, but find something that you can do that's hard, and then the other stuff. Okay, hard in life is not um, optional. It's going to be difficult experiences, challenges, right? I
Yeah.
found that when I give myself challenges, the ones that life gives me seem less and less of an obstacle. Um,
Yeah. I had for years because I used to, be on the dirt bikes all the time, but on the back fender I always had this saying, do something that scares you. Because that scared
Yeah,
the hell out of me, you know?
yeah,
And that's how you grow, right? That's how you grow. Do something that scares you. Get out of that comfort zone.
that's it.
Join a league, go out there, get out there and live.
Yeah. If you're scared of talking to people, just go start talking to strangers all throughout your day.
Mm.
Maybe not ones that give you a creepy vibe, but like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like as you're out in public doing stuff, like just start talking to people. But
Yeah.
anyways, I hope that helps you guys. I got another call that I'm a couple minutes late for.
Right on,
Um,
Ron. Always a pleasure. Thanks for sharing that wonderful surf story. Don't get killed out
yeah.
there, but where's Ron? Where is Ron?
Well, he didn't think his happy thoughts in the washing machine.
Yeah, yeah.
uh, but yeah, we'll see you guys next week. Peace.
See ya.